The more intelligent amongst you might have been able to figure out that I've got myself a new bike. Why, you ask? Well, I have some pretty triathlon specific goals next year. Nothing is quite finalised and booked in yet, but I thought I would make the most of end of season sales and get it sorted now. So, I'll take you through it. The first and most important thing to mention here is the colour scheme, which RIBBLE have very kindly done in purple and teal for me to reflect the colours of the suicide prevention ribbon. My logic here is very similar to the logic behind my moustache in that it's a conversation starter, it's something a little bit different, and if it means I can have a conversation about mental health and suicide prevention where I otherwise might not have done, then I can count it as a success. For those that might not already know, there are some pretty significant differences between road bikes and tri-bikes, and whilst road bikes are far more versatile bits of kit, you can get into a much more aerodynamic position on a tri-bike. Starting with the front, we have the aero bars, which is the most significant aerodynamic change you can have on a bike. So previously mine were clip-ons, which were attached to the handlebars on my road bike, but what these do is they allow you to break the wind at the front, which reduces drag back the way. Having the gears mounted on the end as well is massively helpful as it allows you to change in position rather than having to faff around down here like I did on my previous bike. You've also got the added bonus of having slightly sharper handlebars here just for a bit more of a cut-through effect. The key thing to mention is that in the aero position your upper body is much more horizontal, which makes for a sort of torpedo effect, reducing the drag from here to there. Couple that with the fact that your hips are much more open, with the pedals being directly below you, that when you come off the bike and into the run, your legs will be feeling much fresher, down to the fact there's less stress on the quads and your hips have taken less of a battering. Other than that, the only thing really to mention is the toolbox kit at the back, the bento box here for gels and whatever else you can fit in there, and a hydration system at the front here, which you can stick a straw in and sip as you go. Wheels, pretty bog standard, nothing special. Same story with the pedals, but other than that, there we have it. Very excited to get out on this early January, February next year and announce my triathlon plans next year, but one step at a time. I'll let you all know about that soon. Hello! First of all, I hope you enjoyed your little tour of my new bike. Very pleased with how it's turned out, and I'm really excited about riding around on the colours of the suicide prevention ribbon. As you'll know, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm really hoping that it can start a conversation or two along the way. In fact, the guy that wheeled it out to me at the warehouse asked me about the colour scheme, and we just got chatting and had a conversation about men's mental health and what I'm getting up to, so can already count it as a roaring success. Welcome to week 11 of my Movember training prep. I hope you enjoyed last week's video, and if you did, please make sure you have given it a thumbs up and have hit the subscribe button below. Not far out from Movember itself now, which is pretty daunting, but the real challenges that remain are logistical, organisational, and administrational, really. So can just get my head down with training now. Bit more specific training for event number 2 this week, which is good actually, because I was starting to get a little bit worried about a few elements of it. But other than that, the lunges is just a matter of fighting through it, and the run, my aerobic capacity is there. Just got a little bit more work to do, and hopefully I'll be in a good place. So kicking things off this week with a lower body session today, upper body session tomorrow, and a run on Wednesday. So I will see you later in the week. Outside for 4 by 800 metre sprints, followed by 10 by 50 metres. Update, I still despise sprints, so let's just get that out of the way. Got through 8 by 400 meters at what turned out to be the same pace as Kipchoge's world record marathon, which is just sickening, really, isn't it? I mean, come on. Anyway, got through it, 10 by 50 meter sprints after that, and that is me for the evening. So I shall see you in the gym tomorrow.
I gotta tell you something I could do. I could be running around chasing you. Cause I got better things to do. Chasing somebody who loves me too. Loves me too. Loves me too. Loves me too. Loves me too.
Happy Friday is what I would be saying if I didn't have to go into the gym for my final long distance lunging session of this prep. So 6 kilometers today, which brings my total volume of lunges alone for the past 11 weeks to 38.5 kilometers, which is frankly absurd. And I think I'm gonna have to sit down and have a quiet word with myself later on to reevaluate a few of my life's decisions. So this is obviously a very important session, but aside from the obvious fact that it's my last lunging session, this is my last chance to get my nutrition, my hydration, my protocol and general rhythm down to a T. So the final trial run, we could call it. I'm very glad this is the last session, as the monotony and just pain of these lunge Fridays, we'll call it, for the past 11 weeks has really slowly been driving me insane, and I'm at my wit's end with it. I don't think I could take many more weeks of this. And the light at the end of the tunnel now is that after this, it's the challenge itself. And I know that on the day, your support, the fact it's the 1st of November, and it's all part of the bigger picture for the cause, will get me through it up here. So I have no doubts that once I've got today out of the way, I will be in a very good place. So I am doing it today at Lift, and the challenge itself at Lift. If you didn't see that announcement on my Instagram, you may have gathered I'm in Edinburgh by the fact I'm being rained on in the car, Scotland. So we're going to head in now, where Andy, the co-founder of the gym, and my CSO, Chief Support Officer, for today and the event itself will be there. He's been a massive help throughout the process last year and this year, so I'm sure you'll be seeing more of him in the weeks to come. But not much more left to say really, other than the fact that I'm going to head inside and crack on. Found it. Tight. Good morning. So, to review last night's lunges, 6 kilometers in 3 hours, 6 minutes and 24 seconds, which all in all I'm very pleased with. Bit quicker in terms of pace from previous weeks, which is good. Just under 2 kilometers now. I'm flying. But as predicted, my head started to suffer at a point, and that was about 2 hours and 25 minutes in. I just started to really struggle and wonder, what on earth am I doing to myself? I'm just miserable. But as predicted, again, I could just get my head down and fight through it because I knew it was the last session ahead of the day itself. So, roll on the 1st November, hydration, nutrition, protocol and rhythm were all spot on. Support methods and how we're going to track it is pretty much all there. Just a few final logistics, but other than that, we are good to go. So, following on from that, I am in Glenshee Ski Centre car park, about to head up into the mountains. On my way here, I was worried that I'd kind of cocked up as I forgot my head torch, but it's cleared up enough for me to get cracking and be able to see, which is helpful, to be honest. So Glenshee has about 9 Munros and a bit of a circuit around it, so I'm just going to head up and get as many done as I can in the allotted time of 4 to 5 hours. Heart rate around 145. This is going to be my last big aerobic session in the mountains ahead of the 29th and 30th of November. I have a rather interesting long distance aerobic session next week, which I will reveal to you nearer the time, but that is going to be grim. So I'm going to try and enjoy this, although the weather is abysmal, 4 degrees, windy as sin, and it's pissed down all the way here, but it's not raining at the moment and the forecast is looking good. But I reckon it's going to be overcast at the peak again, as I've had pretty bad luck in the previous weeks. So I'm going to head up into the mountains. I will film as much as I can without ruining my camera or just kind of compromising my training session, so I will see you up there. Okay, so as you may have gathered by my surroundings, I am 1, no longer in the mountains, and 2, no longer even in Scotland, as I have fled back to the northwest of England following a pretty miserable Saturday morning session. Just over 13 miles in and around the mountains of Glenshee in just under 4 hours. Only managed 1 Munro simply down to the fact that once I got above about 600-700 meters, the visibility was awful and the wind was as intense as I've ever experienced in my entire life so far. So, thought it's better to drown out the adrenaline junkie in me and be a bit more risk averse at this stage in the game, so dropped it down the elevation to be a little bit less exposed to the elements, which worked right up until about an hour to go, when I turned around to head back to the car and the wind picked up, the rain picked up and the temperature dropped. So I had a really bad time for the last hour. Got in the car, took ages to warm up and just didn't want to film anything, hence why I am speaking to you here now. Pig didn't come with me on Saturday, and thank God he didn't, because it would have been a really awful day out for him, I think, but I'll take the hit this time. So, that rounds off Saturday morning session, and it also rounds off another training week. 1 more week to go before a sort of maintenance taper period, whilst I'm kind of just dormant for the 3 events that I've got going on. We will see how that unfolds, as I'm not quite sure exactly how it will all look, but I do know that towards the end of next week I have some pretty interesting sessions to share with you. So do make sure that you've liked this video and have subscribed below so that you can keep up to date with all of them. Other than that, thank you very much for watching and see you next week.